Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, lax rats alike, welcome back to another episode of the Crease Dive. Today is Friday, July 15th, and what an episode we have in store for you all. I'm Jordy from Barstool. With us, as always, is Brother Dukes on the mic, but little special episode here. We've got a full-on roundtable here, so let's get through the rest of these introductions before we tell you what we're getting into later today. In this episode, we are lucky enough to be joined by a man who is making his triumphant return to the podcast today. We've got Shitto back on the mics, and we are also lucky enough to be joined by a man who is a newly crowned gold medalist. If you're watching this on the YouTube right now, you can see him wearing it himself, but we've got a newly crowned gold medalist in lacrosse sixes as a part of Team Canada at the World Games. We've got Drake Porter on the mic. So boys, fantastic to have this roundtable together today. I feel like this group together, it's been a long time coming. You know what, Jake, I'm going to give you the first word here because Drake, as happy as I am for you that you're a gold medalist, you did have to beat Team USA in the process. So I'm a little pissed off about that. So Shitto, we're going to give you the floor. Great to have you back. And how's everything going?
I mean, great to be back. Right. It's like riding a bike. You never forget how it feels. It's nice to see everyone's smiling faces again, talk some lacrosse. I got to be honest. I've been busy and I've missed chatting it up with the boys. So I'm excited to be here.
Drake, well, first off, Shitto, great. I mean, just fantastic to see you back here. It's just like old times. It feels right. Drake, yeah, I mean, you're coming fresh off just a full-blown shellacking over the United States of America. So I don't know. I don't know if that's going to hurt your citizenship or not. I feel like there needs to be something in the works there to keep you guys out of here. But I mean, fresh off of a great win with the boys, probably was a really fun week down in Birmingham. So how you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, the game finished. I guess it was a late game, and then I had to fly out early this morning. And I feel pretty horrible right now, but I'm excited to get after. I'm getting a nice second wind of energy just seeing your guys' faces. Fired up to get after it. Made sure the boys were well hydrated on the sideline last night, so now I'm dialed in right now too. Here we go.
I mean, you're up 23-9, and Jeff Teets breaking out that BTB. I feel like you can start hydrating with some nice cold blue mountains by the time that halftime rolls around. Dukes, how are we doing this? I know that pretty sure you were involved with some mini golf earlier today, correct? So you're pretty big day yourself.
Yeah, we had mini golf today at Barstool. I'm fucking wiped out. Had to go out to the Hamptons and back, which is not the norm for a guy like me. But yeah, I'm pumped to do this. I mean, I think the funniest thing that happened this week was when we tried to do this episode last night. Texted Drake, we're like, oh, he'd be such a good addition. And we're like, Drake, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm warming up for the gold medal game. How about you guys? And we're like, all right, well, we can't do this right now. We got to delay it. So it's good that we're all here. Jake, it's so nice to hear your voice again on this pod. I missed hearing it. But yeah, can't wait to get this episode started. I feel like we got the right guys to talk this subject.
Yeah. So just for everyone out there. So today we're going to do things a little bit differently. Obviously we're in the middle of the All-Star break in the PLL season. So, I mean, do we have some lacrosse talk to get to? Sure. Like we can talk about the World Games a little bit.
I'll say it. Canada is so much better than us. That's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
I mean,
all. That's
talk about getting fucking bundled. But yeah, what more there's there to say?
Yeah, I think we talked about it in the group chat today. Like quickly, like we were like, hey, Canada, how about you guys are so much better than us at box? Let's give you a bigger goal on a grass field and let's see how it goes. When we're not even putting out America's best effort. Like I'm not confident that we just the 11 best guys that we have. So,
dude,
Drake. Some people are calling it a fake gold medal. Look, I'm not starting that narrative. I'm just saying you guys beat like the 2004 USA Olympic basketball team, not the 1992 Dream Team.
Like, I mean, I'm not gonna, like badmouth those players, but like at the same time, like that's the team US Lacrosse sent. Like I don't know why or like what the reasoning is, but like we got to play. We're gonna play. Like our coaches put together like a super team. Like I was watching our first practice, I was like, oh my god, like we're gonna win every game by like 10, and then we won every game by 10. So like our coaches took it like full. I mean, I'm sure I don't know what their process was like, and I don't want to like get into it like too much and just rip on them, but like we were like full on treating it like it was like the World Games, and like I think you kind of saw that in the results. So guys were working their tails off all week, especially on the D end. So it was nice to be able to kind of get the win there at the end, and it was kind of nice having it being a little bit ugly too, because I think US has won the past couple full field World Games, so no love lost there.
I said earlier today in a blog that like Team Canada, like a bunch of like master chefs, right? Like you're basically telling them, hey, like this is go out there and play box lacrosse. So you've got a bunch of master chefs, and you're putting them in a tournament to go out and make a grilled cheese, right? Like it's like lacrosse sixes. It's just a way easier version of box lacrosse. So it's like, hey, go do that thing that you guys are fucking sick at, but make it way easier on you guys, and then let's see how it goes. And turns out the way that it goes is a 23-9 win in the gold medal game. So who could have seen it coming?
No comment.
No comment.
I think
I got a comment. I got another comment. How jealous were you of fucking Adam Gittleman playing the field? Were you like a little bit like at 23-9? You're like, put me the fuck in.
Yeah, it was pretty funny actually. I watched him playing. I didn't think he was actually going to do it. I saw him practicing, and then I watched him playing against Germany, and I literally walked right up because we were watching the US play after our game. I walked right up to Brody and Junior, and I was just like, you see that? Like second string goalie getting a lot of runs in the field. Like legs are better for the boys. Something to think about. And they just like looked at me and they were like, no. Like it was an immediate.
That's so
but
funny.
I would have my buddies would have died if I was like in a 2-man game with like Dane Smith up top and like I'm the one like setting the pick.
Dane sets a pick for you, Drake. Dane sets a pick for you.
We're setting you up.
All right. Well, yeah. So we can talk until we're blue in the face about sixes, but you know what we can talk about even more is some gear. We've got 4 guys on this panel right now, bunch of gear hounds, and like I mentioned before, we're in the middle of the PLL All-Star break, and realistically, like, do we need to preview the All-Star game heading into the weekend? No. Like it's an All-Star game the same way that it is in any other league. Is it fun? Maybe. Does it matter? No, not at all. So instead of talking about the All-Star game, we figured that we talk about everything that you guys truly come to this pod to hear about. And that's just outrageous takes about shit that doesn't really matter about anything. But at the end of the day, it's what it's all about. So we're here to talk about some gear today, and what we're going to do. So everyone here is just going to talk about some of their favorite gear growing up through, their era of lacrosse. We're going to do this top to bottom from head to toe and in a snake draft formula. So we're going to give you just our favorite helmet growing up, the best head that we ever used growing up, maybe that shaft that you always wanted for Christmas growing up, the cleats that you would die for, and what else do we got here that I'm missing? Shoulder pads, elbow pads, maybe a little accessory to top off the whole look. So basically, like you just think about Timmy Desco and like everything that made him look like the fucking sickest lacrosse player of all time. And we're just gonna break down pretty much all of that. So that's going to be the chunk of this week's episode. Obviously, again, we're all gearheads here, so I'd imagine that the conversation is going to just go off on a bunch of tangents about different gear that just goes off on those eras. But what do we think? Should we start off right at the top with a helmet? Should we just go top to bottom? Does that make the most sense?
Yeah, I think that's logical at the very least.
All right, it's easier for our brains to comprehend. Just keep moving down the lineup. So we're gonna start off with our number 1 pick of the helmet in the snake draft. I think, again, like I said, Drake, I would love to give you the first pick, but you guys just beat the balls off of USA, so I can't in good faith do that to you. Shitto, making your long-awaited return to the podcast. The people have been clamoring to have you back on here, so it's only fair to start off. So let's go. We'll go Shitto. Drake, we'll give you the number 2 pick because you had a pretty big week. Duke, you'll run in the 3 slot, and then I'll back clean up here. So number 1 helmet in the gear snake draft. The floor is yours, Jake.
With the number 1 helmet selection, I'm going with the CPX. Like there's literally nothing better than the CPX. Like you might be a CPXR purist. You might be, you might, the original CPX was the GOAT. Like, I mean, you could wear it low. It felt good. Like probably didn't protect you as much as the helmets do nowadays, but I'm going with the CPX.
I mean, dude, it is so good, right? Like you've got like the contoured face mask. You still like, it's still in that era where you could like really customize. Like you would go onto like Cascade's website and like customize. It's a good pick.
That's a really good pick.
It's a
And like
really good. It's a really good number
on the
1.
back.
It's a really good 1 overall pick. All right, Drake, you're up.
With the second pick, I'm going to keep it simple here. I'm going to go with the R, Cascade R. I feel like when teams switched to that, it was the first time there was like legitimate buzz in the air. It was like in the middle of my high school career. And if your team got the R like that spring, it was like a huge deal. And I think only some college teams even got them for the playoffs. And it was just, it looked sick. You didn't see guys like splitting CPXRs and Pro 7s, like some of the rosters were split up. Everyone was in the R, and yeah, there it is, number 2.
I'm sitting here at 3, astonished that I have the Pro 7 in my lap right now. I mean, if we're talking about the swag helmet, like we're talking swag Kelly, you got the tilt, you got the drip, and you're about to break some ankles on a summer lacrosse field. You're wearing a Pro 7. Like all the best players of that time wore Pro 7s. And if you had to wear a CPXR like me, too small of heads. So like I remember being in 7th grade trying to squeeze into a Pro 7 because it was like the big boy helmet. And I think that's an absolute steal here at 3. And
I have thought the Pro 7, if you don't have a massive, if you have like a big head, like Rabel looks sick with his like massive Chad chin. But like if you had like a smaller head, it looked so bad. So like for some people it looks sick. Some guys looked so bad in that helmet, especially in the MLL when everyone was wearing it.
Well, that's the payoff was so good that everybody wanted to be like that. There was like an ideal image for a Pro 7 that a lot of people couldn't pull off. You're right, but I feel like it was the first drippy helmet. So yeah,
dude, Billy Bitter Pro 7.
Dude,
come on,
dude,
Billy Bitter Pro 7. Are you kidding me?
With the sweaty hair, sweaty flow coming out the back, like that man was just dusting fools in the Pro 7.
So good. And like you want to talk about buzz that can't like, because like that was like the first 1-piece helmet, right? Like like the CPX was sick, but like you still had like the visor was a different piece, the chin guard was a different piece. Like the Pro 7 came out and it was just all one shell, and like
no adjustables, no safety, just good old like literally. I don't think they had any safety precautions in those helmets, and people wore them for not even for the love of the game, of course, but for the love of looking good.
I mean, those were the orange, like the Syracuse, like the best era of Syracuse gear were the original Pro 7 in my, like the rest, let's say the past 15 years. Some of the throwback stuff sick. Like the solid orange shell with just the orange and the white Nike stuff like that. Like basically the Tim Desco era of him rocking the swag. They had the orange buckets and the white buckets just like clean off the top. I think some of the Syracuse stuff like progressed even cooler with like the R and the S and stuff like that. But like, you're right, Jordy, like they were the first like cool team that had like the single shell, all one color that you were like, okay, that's sick. Right. And that was at least in like what I saw, I was like, oh, Syracuse is rocking it. That's sick. Or maybe like Cornell's rocking it. Like that's sick.
Yeah. I'll still never say that like a Syracuse look was like any better. Like it never in my, and you'll hear this as we get deeper into the snake draft. Like a lot of the things that I'm going to base my picks off of are 20. Like I'm picking basically everything Mikey Powell. And so like that CPX that he wore like at the end of his time at Syracuse, even like a C Pro at Cuse, like nothing ever is going to look better than the way that Mikey Powell looked playing the sport of lacrosse. And in that vein, with the 4th pick in the helmet draft, now listen, this is going to be controversial, and that's what we're here for. All right, but I want you to go back to the 2006 Team USA lacrosse.
Oh no,
my God.
No. I know exactly what you're gonna say.
I'm gonna be
No,
homicidal.
don't.
Here's the thing. Listen, I love a
Oh
Cascade.
no, come
I
on.
love a Cascade bucket just as much as the next guy. I would go home after school. Little like 5th grade Jordy would go home after school. I log on to CascadeLacrosse.com and I'd be customizing helmets until the cows came home. Wouldn't do a lick of homework. But if I'm looking back on a helmet that is so egregiously shit upon and it doesn't deserve the shit that it takes, the Rydell bucket.
I knew you were.
Oh
I knew it
my
was coming.
God.
You go back to that 2006 Team USA team and you look at that helmet, dude, tell me right now that it was so ahead of its time. It was a little bit more like, I'm telling you right now, the shape of that helmet looks like it probably should have come out closer to today than it did in 2006. And that's why it got shit on. It didn't have a like, dude.
I mean, you're saying that's just wrong. Like it was so ugly.
Yeah, it wasn't though. Look at dude,
No,
and
it's like loving the Duke
Here's
Triad
the
helmet.
But dude, no, the Triad was brutal. Like you look at those Duke teams, the Triad was absolutely atrocious. And here's the thing. So here's what I'll say: the Triad looked like absolute dog shit on everyone who wore it. If you were a team who had sick colors and sick gear, you could make the Rydell look really good. Like it wasn't a helmet that was fit. You had to be like the elite of the elite. Like you either had to be that Team USA, you either had to be that Team USA team, that 2006 team with those colors. You needed to be like a team that had like maybe like a maroon in your color scheme where you could like maroon really look good on that Rydell helmet. Again, it's a controversial pick, but true Lax Rats will know that if your team was swaggy enough to pull off the Rydell, it looked so fucking mint. And just pull up a picture of Mikey Powell in that US uniform wearing the Rydell.
I mean, I sent 2 pics to the chat. Like
it's right up there.
With like, I mean, with the whole kit, right? Like with the whole kit, it does look fairly clean. I will say with the full kit, with like the USA across, like with the older, like, you know, throwback text, like I can see it. I hate it, but I can see it,
dude. But like, that's the thing. Like anyone can look good in a Pro 7. You don't have to do anything special to a Pro 7 to look good. If you could look good in a Rydell, you knew that your team was like the top of the top in terms of swag.
I still hate it.
I don't hate that take, but the helmet is still so egregiously ugly. But like, I think one that if we're talking like ugliest helmets, I mean, you can't go without talking about the Easton Raptor. I mean, that was
Noted.
Yeah, that was.
Here's a
all
question.
The shelves maybe for
that helmet literally ran Easton Lacrosse into the ground. Like,
yeah, like
here's
that because that helmet got recalled, they had to shut down because they lost so much money on it.
Has anyone here ever actually seen someone wear an Easton Raptor?
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, because
right here, baby.
Oh my god.
Oh my
god. That right there, clip it. If you're not following the Crease, if you're not subscribed to the Crease Dives YouTube channel right now, you just missed maybe the greatest moment in our podcast history. The fact that we're talking about an Easton Raptor and Drake Porter, just as we're recording, could just throw one on right away. Without,
oh my god.
I got it up on the
That's the first Easton Raptor I've actually like physically seen.
I will say this too. That's definitely the first Easton Raptor worn by a gold medalist. Like, no doubt about it.
Yeah, facts.
No, worst ever was the SCX Stallion.
No, I think worst ever was the gate. Was it like
Oh,
gate
no, but
triumph or like revolution or something?
the
UVA wore
the
'em?
one before the identity. The identity was
Yeah,
the one that looked like almost like a bird. Like Albany wore that one
and
a
then there
little.
was one. Who was it? I think it was like there's a picture of Joe Walters wearing it, where it's
Oh yeah,
basically
so
like a hockey
Maryland,
helmet.
but here's the thing:
Yeah.
2006 Virginia won a national championship in that helmet. So
That's tough. That was tough for everybody.
Are we
So,
are
yeah,
we
tough
talking?
for the sport.
I was trying to look up the Virginia helmet that I'm talking about. The
like Matt Ward is wearing
Yes.
it. The gate one that it looks
yeah,
like
the
it's
gate
like
helmet. The
yeah,
gate helmet. It's so ugly.
you know what
Yeah,
that
that's-
is? That helmet is lacrosse sixes of helmets. Like it's a mixture between box and field.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
took
And it just turns out horribly.
they all had Vespas on campus, and they took the face masks out of them and wore them as like their helmets on the Vespas. Called themselves the Whirly Birds. It's a little bit of UVA lore.
Is that from the 2011 Road to the Championship doc?
I think
I
so.
watched
Yeah.
that one. I think I watched
Yeah.
that one like 50 times in middle
I mean,
school.
Drake is a. I'm glad there's somebody out here who's also like a YouTube lacrosse historian,
Yeah.
right? So, okay, we got to move. We'll spend all day on helmets.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
spend all day
yeah,
on
we-
helmets. All right, so moving down, do we go right to shoulder pads?
Right to shoulder pads.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, so if we're doing a snake draft, I guess that means that I'm up. Listen, this might be like literally like the only pair of shoulder pads that I ever wore. These things lasted me through a solid 15 years, maybe. The Warrior Revolution Air. Does anyone know what I'm talking about here, Dukes? When we're clipping all these up, you're gonna have to find the Google image. I mean, we're talking like early 2000s. Basically, think like Mark Millen era
Yep,
of MLL.
I know these.
So Warrior, like they're basically like they're kind of like grayish silver.
Warrior
And
Air.
and like here's the thing. So the Warrior Revolution Air shoulder pads, and here's like before
Yes.
you even brought them up to the register, you would cut off the shoulder caps,
Yeah.
take off the bicep pads, and like all you would have is just this tiny little foam shell that would just cover your tits. And those things were just so goddamn comfortable. And again, I swear to God, like I might have used them from like 5th grade until I graduated college. So Warrior Revolution Air, anyone who knows that I'm talking about knows. what
Yes.
Yeah.
I just looked them up and I know exactly what you're talking about, cutting off the shoulder pads, because every single guy I've ever played hockey with always cut off the shoulder pads. And that's why this is why my pick I think it was ahead of its time, especially as an LSM defender. I'm going the STX Cell 2 liners. The liners, but they had the no shoulder caps. You know, you could just like throw those on some lacrosse, kind of look badass because it didn't even look like you were wearing a chest protector. So that was if you had that, you kind of looked around like this kid's got it. This kid's got the juice.
Strong pick.
I'm gonna I mean, both you guys went with kind of like shoulder pads that make it look like you're not wearing shoulder pads. I'm gonna flip it, go for an iconic look. The Maryland team wears the Under Armour Next Gen shoulder pads, and they're the ones with the massive shoulder cap. So look, if you really want to get specific with it, Logan Wisnowskis's Under Armour Next Gen shoulder pads are as iconic as it gets in terms of shoulder pads in lacrosse. I'm surprised you guys didn't pick them. I think Rambo wore them too. They all look like absolute goobers, but they make the Final Four every single year. So yeah, that's my pick.
The results speak for themselves.
Yeah. I mean, we just go for swag, not I guess not showmanship or whatever.
Yeah. Again, I bought my last pair of shoulder pads before Under Armour was even in the lacrosse game, so I couldn't go that far. But all right, Jake.
I'm gonna throw one out there. I see we've
Please do.
gone old. I see we've gone, kind of modern. I'm gonna say the best shoulder pads are no shoulder pads.
Wow.
I have not worn a pair of shoulder pads outside of playing indoor in probably 9 years. Now I'm old, right? But I think why do I need them? I'm fine. I'm not gonna get hit with the ball. So Mine are shoulder pads. Most of the and if I would say no shoulder pads, right? If I had to choose, I think that, and I don't even remember what my first pair of shoulder pads were, but basically it was the same concept that Jordy described. Like you would go in and you get these like original Warrior shoulder pads, and they'd have these huge fucking shoulder caps on them, right? And when you were running around the field, they would like flap up and down and shit. And then you'd cut them off, and as soon as you cut them off, you were like, oh, that kid now passes the eye test. Like anybody who would cut off their shoulder caps, you were like, yeah, that kid he's legit, right? So if I had it, no shoulder pads for me. However, if I had to pick, it was anything you could just cut the shoulder caps off of and rock.
Quick little fun story, if I may. All right, so we're going back to a younger Jordy, a high school Jordy. And this was right around the peak of 90% of Lax is in the Flow Facebook group. And so again, anyone who is listening right now, who's of age, who belong to that Facebook group, you know what I'm saying? Like people would just post pics of their sty out there, and then you would just put yourself out there for all the trolls of Facebook to just ridicule you. So one day, you know, this cat, he posted a picture of himself, and he's got just egregiously large shoulder pads on. Like it looks like the man just threw giant boulders under his jersey. And you know, being that, shout out to Liquid Death, a delicious beverage. Kill your thirst. But no free ads. But anyway, so this guy, he posted a picture of himself in like massive shoulder pads, and I get into the comments and I'm like, dude, bro, like the sky's not gonna fall. Like you can get rid of those shoulder pads, like pussy, like whatever. Literally, so like that might have been like a Wednesday afternoon, had a Thursday game, shattered my collarbone.
No.
And
God.
But was the last time that I ever talked shit in the comment section of that one. So, but yeah, so it maybe not fully AC joint, but either way, out a few weeks after shitting on someone's shoulder pads, and lo and behold, I get mine just clocked the next day. All right. By the way, Dukes, Cell would have been my backup pick. So good work there. Moving right into elbows, Drake, this might be a little bit of a dicey one for you as a goalie. I can't imagine that you have much familiarity with elbow pads. But Shitto, it is your pick. You were on the clock for the number one pick of elbow pads.
This was a tough one for me. Because there's a particular style, there's a particular brand like that is attached to the gloves that I'm picking. So I'm gonna have to go with my previous pick. Back in the day, and OGs will remember, before they started making the caps that you could make for defensemen, they had this like fucking sleeve that you could throw on.
Oh, I
and
know
it
where
was
you're
like
going.
it went from like the top of the forearm to like a little above the bicep, right? And that counted as your elbow pad. And boy, if I didn't go from one elbow pad to those and rock them every fucking game, because it was like the original set of caps. I don't know what they're called, right? And if they had a name, I'd love to know that if anybody remembers, but like that's my pick for the elbows.
Oh,
like,
you're not. Oh, I thought you were talking. I remember because like the Brian King came in like just like a tiny sleeve.
No, these were like a legit thing. That
I know
Warrior
exactly
made.
what Shitto. I know what Shitto's talking about. It almost was as if they took the caps and cut the caps off, like you'd cut off the shoulder pads.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm gonna do some work and see if I can find an image of them. Somebody else can go, but I think I can find these.
We'll put a pin in it. We'll circle back.
Yeah, I'm not up. I don't know what I was talking about.
Drake, you're up.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. Obviously, don't wear arm guards. My coach tried to make me actually in middle school, but I said no because I was a certified tough guy.
Tough guy.
Yeah, you can't wear shin guards and elbow pads. I know how that goes.
You can't. I mean, you just can't. There's like no confidence there. But I'm gonna go with, and I think this applies to players too. I'm gonna go with a white long sleeve. So goalie white long sleeve always looks good. Always got to be wearing it, but
tight fitting or loose?
Loose, very
Loose.
loose. The looser the better. I think Garrett Epple, I'm pretty sure, wears the long sleeve over his elbow pads. I know a lot of D middies in college do it. It's a good look, like long sleeve over the elbows, just a good clean look all the way down. So not just for goalies, but yeah, that's my pick for arm guards.
I think that's fair. So I'm a little stuck. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little hung up on this one because it's just at the end of the day, they're just elbow pads. I was thinking the caps. I was trying to think of these specific caps that I wore for like a summer. But like, no, that's too basic of an answer. I don't want to go too basic. And I'm like, should I just go for the nostalgia, hitting like the Rydells or something? So this is when I came up with the position that I've never even played in my life. The G22 arm guards for like attackmen. I think those were ahead of it, legitimately ahead of its time. I don't think that material will ever be made again for lacrosse equipment, but the G22 arm guards were something special.
Goated.
Something special. Yeah.
Goated.
Dude,
It was hard for me not to draft
crazy.
it.
STX went through a really good run of gear in that era between the G22 stuff. All the cell stuff was great. Like the cell elbow pads were great. Like the K18 elbows were pretty solid as well.
Really solid.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with the G22s, dude. That's a good pick for a guy who never played attack and never really had to wear some long arm guards before. Pretty good move there. As the only attackman here in this round table who had to deal with getting his arms hacked off every single day. I mean, our arm guards were a necessity. And for me, again, these might be a pair. It's going to date me a little bit. I'm getting older now. So like, hopefully all the old heads that are listening to me, you guys remember this, but the brine ventilators going to be my pick for elbow pads. Drake, I can see you're already thrown off. You probably don't.
My God.
You're probably just a twinkle in your daddy's eye
Yes.
when these came out. But the brine ventilators, basically, they had, it was almost like a shell topping on the bicep and the forearm, and it just had like massive holes so that like it was the perfect arm guard to be playing like 4 games a day in summer tournaments. Just going, like, maybe you're down in Baltimore one week, you're on the island the next week, you got to go somewhere the next week. Those summer tournaments where you're just playing in the middle of July, get a lot of air breathing through there. Whatever the fuck the gel like topping, like the shell was made out of, just super hard plastic, so you could just get hacked away and it didn't hurt that much. And plus it looked great. So and also they would get like nice and like loose fitting, like as the day would go on. So you'd be like this like little like 12-year-old kid with your elbow pad like all the way down and like the cuff of your glove, which I always thought was a pretty sweet look. So the brine ventilator, again, dating myself with that one, but that is my go-to pick for elbow pads.
I think that's the universal elbow pad of like the younger brother, like the hand-me-down. I think every kid who had an older brother who played lacrosse wore, I'm looking them up now, they all had these when we played club, but I never knew where they came from.
Just beat the shit,
Yeah, they were all like little attackmen who weren't fast enough to run away and just got absolutely hammered.
Good to know. I was a big brother, so. All right, so those are helmet, shoulder pads, elbow pads. Where do we go to now? Are we going gloves and then into stick? Right.
Yeah.
That probably follows the flow of the body. All right, then I guess pretty happy with the way that this turned out, because now I have the first pick of gloves. Listen.
Oh God, you're gonna pick something awful, aren't you?
I'm picking the greatest glove ever invented, and it needs no introduction. And everyone who's listening right now should already have this name in their head, because it is the only glove that ever mattered in the sport of lacrosse. The Warrior Mac Daddy. I mean, the Mac Daddy coming out, that was a pivotal moment in the sport of lacrosse. That is when you knew that lacrosse went from just a game that's played by a bunch of really great guys into, hey, we're out here to look like the sickest motherfuckers that you've ever seen. We're going to customize. Like, again, I mentioned before, like heading home after school, going to Cascade's website to just like customize different helmets. I can't tell you how many hours I logged as a kid on Warriors website customizing different Mac Daddies that I just never ordered, just different variations. Dude, like you could go on their website. Not only could you customize colors of the glove, but like they also had different materials that you could customize too. Like I probably, shit you not, I probably created 975 different pairs of Mac Daddies. And that's lowballing it. So the Warrior Mac Daddies, my number one pick.
Really
Wasn't
like the pick.
wasn't the Mac Daddy, like I remember the Mac Daddy was like so big on your hands, right?
Oh, it was
just like a big
huge, but
glove.
I
It
was a
huge.
hockey guy, so I was used to big gloves.
I was about to say, wasn't the inspiration like some of the Warrior hockey gear that they had, right? Some of that Warrior hockey gear.
So,
That
yeah,
was,
because I think right before the Mac Daddy, they put out the Super Freak, and the
Yep.
Super Freak was a little bit tighter. But yeah, the Mac Daddy did kind of fit like a hockey glove. But as a hockey guy, I was kind of used to it.
makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, Super Freaks were right up there too. Like again, that was right in that era where Warrior decided like, fuck it, we're just going with like the craziest marketing of all time. I'm pretty sure that they had a pair of gloves called the Shocker, and like they
Yeah.
definitely knew what they were doing with that.
100%. I'm looking at a pair of Mac Daddies right now, like and
The Super Freaks, the Mac Daddies, and the
they also
Shocker.
had they also had Superflies. But I'm looking at a limited edition pair that was a pink gator skin, and I've seen these before. Like literally, I've seen somebody rocking these in person. Like
We need to get that person on the podcast.
I saw it at a tournament. Some kid was playing in them. I was like, that, what the fuck is this? But anyway, yeah, no, that
Alright.
was a crazy marketing campaign.
Dukes, your pick for gloves.
All right, so I was looking at this and I came in with 3 and I kind of was like, I don't like them. Looked back, favorite gloves, never even owned them, but I always wanted them. Nike Vapor Elites, like the all white Vapor Elites, I thought were so clean.
They were sick.
Yeah, they were, like, I think it was the first time that I was like, all right, like Nike could maybe have some success in the lacrosse sphere. So yeah, the Nike Vapor Elites I thought were just so swaggy. Same with their elbow guards, but I didn't want to draft those.
Fair.
Yeah, let me just pulling them up right now. I know what you're talking
That
about.
was like literally what we talked about when we
Like,
talked about like gear. This was like my number one. That was like the first thing I put down. I didn't even have it done by categories yet. Like not just gloves. That was the first thing I put down of just like legendary gear.
Yeah, I think the all white was always so clean. But yeah, like, and they also were so fucking comfortable. I remember them just like always like being broken in as soon as you got them. So yeah, Nikes.
Well, Drake, now you're probably scrambling a bit. Yeah, Nike just really came and went with lacrosse, didn't they?
They still have lacrosse stuff.
They kind of owned my like 7th grade to like junior year of high school. I feel like they really started to peak like 2012 to 2015 ish.
And like that's it. Like so, like I was because I was in college at that time, and I didn't have any say in what we wore, so I just never really got into the Nike wave.
Yeah.
Fun fact that at Syracuse, there's like a deal with the Nike STX thing. So we're STX sponsored, but I guess they're affiliated with Nike. We got like 8 pairs of Nike gloves that guys were allowed to wear, spread across the whole team. No one else could wear them. So it always like starters, like obviously got to try them first. So that's how you knew where you were in the depth chart. The first day of January was you would look in your locker, and if you got the Nike gloves, you were like, "Oh my god, I'm a starter now!" Like,
I got G22s. I suck. Desco hates me.
Like, gives you an idea of like our mental states as I'm going in. I'm deciding like where I'm at or like how my spring's gonna look based off the gloves that are in my locker.
Like what the fuck, Gates?
Like, dude, I got cell 3s. I'm toast.
De Beers.
I'm gonna go with. You guys took my top 2 there. So you're right. I am scrambling a little bit, but an iconic look worn by, kind of made famous by the Thompsons in their run. I'm going to go with the Maverick Rome NXT. So the one with like the middle finger going down, kind of like the oval shape near the top of the glove. Pretty iconic, still around today. Also famous, those are like the Maverick Showtime gloves. So the Hardo who like got invited to Showtime on your team and then wore the gloves for every single club event after that, which still to this day pisses me off when I see kids do that. Those kids were always rocking them. It's a pretty iconic look. So that's going to be my pick.
One of my
remember when Maverick, they came out with the shark gel, which was like they put it like right like in between like the thumb and like the index fit, like right where you would get like slashed. And like apparently like if like that material got hit, it would like harden up. I would love to see the science behind that one because I don't believe it'll lick.
Yeah, get Brankus on the call.
Let's
John
get him.
Brankus, Sports Science.
Yeah, let's get him because I don't believe that shit worked one bit. Good marketing though.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of lacrosse like marketing back then also was just selling a bunch of bullshit, like just throwing shit against the wall and seeing if it would work. Like, we went through some fucking crazy phases that like some say haunt us to this day, but I say like that like we didn't keep that going on long enough.
All right, Jake, your gloves of choice.
Drake, I was gonna say that one of my 23s this weekend. He got invited to Showtime and he's rocking the gloves like in our game against like Team Minnesota, and the boys are absolutely just fucking chirping him the entire time. It's like, nice gloves, buddy. Did you get those on sideline swap? And then all this shit. And then the kid made it. The kid wearing the Showtime glove made 2 more All-Star games and 2 more tournaments. So like he's a legit player, but like
I'm going back next year.
Not to brag, but I did go to the first ever Maverick Showtime, and it led me all the way to play D3 lacrosse. So really good job of picking me out there, you fucking jackasses.
Don't sell yourself short. Don't sell yourself short. You're also the host of a top 100 lacrosse podcast.
That's true.
Might even be a top 90 after this episode.
I didn't even have Maverick Showtime. The only thing that we could go to down south was like, if you got invited to like a Nike blue chip. Like blue chip 205, woo! Like you were like
get Jake Reed on the line,
the guy, right? If you were at blue chip. So anyway, my glove of choice. I'm really torn, so I'm gonna pick my glove because it was like one of the original. Like I rocked with it forever, and they fell apart. But I have some comments on some of the new gloves. The G22 gloves. I think the G22 gloves were some of the most comfortable gloves I ever wore. They ended up falling apart, right? Because, it was old gear and, it wasn't made to last. I will say like the SDX gloves have always worn in really, really well for me. My favorite gloves right now are the Surgeon Razors. Like those are so fucking comfortable. I will continue to get them, right? But original pair G22s, now I'm rocking with the Surgeon Razors.
Jake, I agree with you with the Surgeon Razors. I got them for like when I played club lacrosse senior year, and I can only use them for like 3 weekends. But those gloves were fucking money. Anytime I go to shoot around, I use them. Love those gloves.
Again, that was a really killer era for SDX. Right before the G22s too. And like this is again, if you're looking at that picture of that 2006 US team, which I still think is just the crispiest team, the SCX iPro, I feel like not a lot of people got a chance to wear those gloves, but pretty like tight fitting, but also like the same, like I don't know, like I feel like the G22s were pretty ahead of their curve with like how well they were like right off the bat with like you didn't really need to break them in at all. Yeah,
definitely.
Quality run that STX went on there. All right, good pick there, Jake. All right, well, so holding in the hands of the glove will be the shaft. So we are moving on now to the twigs, to the spoons, to the sticks, and we're getting going here with the shaft. I feel like it should be very specified whether we're going long pole, goalie shaft or just a regular attack shaft. But you can choose whatever, but just feel like we can probably specify a little bit more exactly what we're going with here. So Jake, the floor is yours.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't have to think about this. I knew it off the top of my head. And while SCX had such a great run in those days, Warrior was also just putting out shit without even testing it.
I fucking swear to God.
They were putting out stuff without even testing it, and they put out this one particular shaft.
Don't do it.
And RIP to your gloves if you used it. The Warrior Dolomite shaft.
Oh,
The original Dolomite shaft that had this outer coating on it that was supposed to be like, you didn't have to use tape, right? Like it was thick, it was gritty.
It was sandpaper.
It was basically
sandpaper on a shaft.
Yeah.
They wrapped the shaft in sandpaper. They
Yes.
said, here, this is $110.
Yeah, and then literally after like 4 games, you were like, my gloves have holes in them, and my skin is being hurt from this shaft. And that was just a great era of just never testing. It was just like evidence, like nobody tested that. Nobody thought about that. They said, oh, that's fucking mint, and they said ship it. Slap a price tag on it and ship it. And that's just fucking great. I loved it. So that's my pick. It's a classic because everybody knows exactly what you're talking about when you describe it. So Warrior Dolomite, easy, book it.
Speaking of things that definitely weren't tested, I'm gonna go with my shaft as the Reebok 9K with the holes in it.
Yes, let's go.
They were
Reebok
like-
what?
Reebok was putting out
It had holes.
hockey and lacrosse.
yes.
It had holes in all their stuff. So they had holes in the blade of their hockey stick, in the shaft of these hockey sticks, and then in the shaft. And then, but I thought the funniest part about it was the NLL was Reebok only. So this was back when like league deals were like everyone had to use
like,
Reebok.
It's like 2006, 2007, 2008, maybe.
Mm-hmm. And so like I used to go to the Toronto Rock games, and all those guys were using it, and I was like, oh, they must love the holes. Like those guys must live for it. Like I didn't know anything about brand deals, so I went out and I bought one as a goalie. And I was like, yeah, I need some more zip on my outlet passes. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Reebok 9K with the holes.
Dude, my first job ever, I worked at a lacrosse retail store, Premier Lacrosse in Aston, Pennsylvania. RIP, it doesn't exist anymore. But either way, I worked at Premier Lacrosse. So this was spring of 2007. So freshman year of high school, right around the time that Reebok was really, really getting after it in the lacrosse scene. And in our store, we had just like a little shooting area with like a radar gun. And I would just take that stick and just thought like, oh, like the air that goes through the shaft must like really help my speed. Like this must really help like my shot. Never helped at all. Still just like throwing up like 73-mile-per-hour gumballs. Great stick though. Iconic. Dukes.
Didn't Brian do something similar?
Maybe
They might have had one that had like, they might have had like one hole in it.
Like it was like, no. Brian had one that had like, it was a cheese grater. Right. And it when you swung it, when you swung it, it would make a whistling noise.
Dude, that's what I thought you were talking about the entire time.
Ever.
Yes, that's what I thought you were talking about.
We need to figure out what that is as Dukes is making his pick.
I've got the F-22 air attack. I remember it now.
Dude,
if you got one check, it would literally fold in half.
Do you remember like the F?
Do
you guys remember like the F-20, like the power grip ones, where it was basically like, I don't even know how to describe what you were holding, but if you remember the Brian like F-22 power grip, like it was usually going to be like your like first stick that you ever had. It was either that or like the Warrior Alloy 2000. That stick was absurd. But Dukes, keep stopping you here, but the floor is yours.
I have shafts I was really particular about, and I put about 5 there, hoping that I could get at least maybe 2, come down to 2 of them. I have all 5 on the board.
Oh God.
I think that there's so many I want to say, but I think I have to keep it simple. I have to go back to about 2007 to the OG, to the lightest shaft in the world, the Maverick Wonder Boy. The Wonder Boy, I think, was probably right before. I'm not going to give anything away. Probably was the lightest stick of its time, if I remember. I remember a bunch of.
I feel like the Gate Ice still had it.
Yes, but Wonder Boy, I feel like had a little ring where there was debate about it. But the Gate Ice was definitely there. I had to give respect to the Wonder Boy. I thought it was just more iconic. It was like kind of like the first like showy, flashy shafts that like when I like just first started playing, I remember seeing them being like, oh, that's sick. Never getting one. Again, never getting one. I kept it simple. I just had a Gate Ice. But I think that the Wonder Boy was about as iconic as it could get.
Well, how about this? Do you guys remember the camouflage Wonder Boy?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Just make it okay. I didn't know if that was like a specialty novelty item that like only like a select people had. Yeah, the camo Wonder Boy is a hilarious stick. Yeah, had a Wonder Boy. I'll tell you what, Maverick butt ends right up there with my favorite butt ends of all time. Also Maverick balls, best smelling balls. Might not want to clip. Might not want to clip that one. No, but like, listen, dude, you would get a box delivered to you of like a dozen balls. You break open into those pack. You guys don't love the smell of lacrosse balls, of a fresh pack of lacrosse balls.
I
I
do, but like
yeah.
Maverick balls. You would break open into a pack of Maverick balls. They would always have the best scent.
I just can't remember. I've been.
I don't know if we're
pearls.
talking lacrosse anymore.
Well,
yeah,
we
Just
never
a big
were.
Top Gun fan.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I pray that there's someone else out there who's ripped into a fresh pack of Mavericks and has been blessed with that scent, because it's to die for. All right. Again, so Jake, this is where I thought you were going, but again, I don't know. I guess I'm really aging myself here, because this is even before the Dolomite, but this is when Warrior was just shit kicking everybody when it came to the shaft game. And you look around at some of just the all-time greats, right? Like you've got the Crypto Pro, the Crypto Light, Crypto Pro Wire. The Crypto Pro Wire was sweet, but what it all boils down to, and this is, you had a bunch of sticks made out of titanium, maybe even had, I don't know, I'm not good enough at chemistry to know what metals they were using, but when everything started to switch to titanium, right, and titanium shafts were the way to go, the Titan Pro was just the Warrior Titan. The Warrior Titan Pro was just like the epitome. Like if you had a Titan Pro, you're like, I fucking made it. You might've been like an 8-year-old kid playing, a little summer tournament, but you're like, yep, like I have like the stick. So the Warrior Titan Pro, like that was like the first shaft that I can remember, like when like the magazines would come out, like what was it, like Great American Lacrosse, like those little catalogs would come out and you would look in there and you'd be like, all right, like, what do I want? You look at the Titan Pro, you're like, I want that motherfucker so bad. So never owned one, believe it or not. Always wanted one. So anyone out there right now, maybe your own sideline spot, maybe you are selling a Titan Pro, let me holla at you, because I've been wanting one for about, I don't know, like 22 years at this point.
I just want to, I think I left one off the table now that it's over. I don't know. Do you guys remember the Scandium Pro, which had like the grip and it had like, if it was like a light blue shaft, it'd have white running up the side. Yeah. I think that wasn't maybe the best shaft, but I think that was,
can we do honorable mentions real quick?
Yeah. Honorable mentions.
I got an honorable mention. The crankshaft.
Fuck you. That was all of our honorable mention. The crankshaft.
It was too easy.
I have one that I don't know how long it was on the market, but if you remember this, I think you're an original gearhead. So they made a shaft, Warrior made a shaft that had a Kevlar coating.
Oh,
yes.
Yep. Yeah.
And it was like a Kevlar sleeve on
Yeah.
top of just like a regular Crypto Pro, and they sold that shit for like
Yep.
$250.
Do you remember they also put out the weighted shaft that you could use as a trainer that was orange, and then everyone was like I'm not gonna spend all that money, like I'm just gonna fill like my actual lacrosse stick up with like a bunch of pennies, and then everyone would be like showing up to games with like 3 sticks, and like 2 of them would be gamers, and then the other one would just be like a shaft full of pennies, and
The
everyone's like,
face-off guy at my high school I went to was like a huge meathead, and he used the training shaft just like as a regular shaft.
Oh my god.
He just used to beat people
What
with
a
it. It was
hardo,
awful.
dude.
It was such a hardo. Yes, I agree.
I have one more. If I don't know if this is just, it was a weird time for lacrosse too. Do you guys remember when they tried experimenting with bamboo shafts and they were like, we can get bamboo into like long poles? So it's called the BAM shaft. I guess they kind of like the dragonfly kind of had like the same concept, but I remember literally people one summer had bamboo for the lacrosse shaft.
I had a kid who so he stopped playing his sophomore year of college. But kid could shoot the fucking piss out. Terrible lacrosse player, but could shoot the piss out of the ball. Like, I don't know, like 105. Like kid was bringing heat. And this is captain's practices our freshman year. So like we're like a week into school, like just meeting guys for the first time. And here's this kid, like he comes in, everyone's like, yeah, like this kid shoots like 105, like he must be like nasty, and he's using a bamboo shaft. Everyone's like, fuck. Drills a sophomore defender in the jaw, like right in the chin strap, breaks his jaw, and then so I've always associated bamboo shafts with guys who just are just completely reckless with their shot selections and not very good at lacrosse, but just like to see a big number on the radar gun. There's definitely no one like that on Instagram.
Jared Newman should use bamboo shaft this weekend.
All right. So are we good on honorable mentions for shafts? All right. Well, that will bring us right into heads. And a very I guess that brings me up here with the floor. Like I mentioned, a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about today, it all comes down to the whole reason why I fell in love with this beautiful sport. It all comes down to MP22, and I'd be remiss if I didn't take the first pick in the head draft, the Brine Swerve, the Mikey Powell Swerve. So if anyone remembers this is when Mikey Powell came out with his first line of gear, and this head, it had the first off, sweet little sidewall design, little almost like a check mark, but down by the throat, it would have an insert, a little plastic insert, and you could either choose to put that insert in or take it out. The reason why you would keep it in is because in theory, it would like hide the ball from maybe like a goalie to make it a little bit harder for them to like pick it up coming out of your stick. But just an unbelievable head. I remember I got this. I had this head on a, do you guys remember when Harrow was making shafts? The composite shafts that would have like, it would like taper off. So you could like,
the dent.
So I had the Harrow like tapered off shaft with a Mikey Powell Swerve, 2 U shooters and 3 across. This was the Wild West days when you could just load your stick full of as many shooters as you want. 2 U's, 3 across with the Mikey Powell Swerve. So unbelievable head. Can't imagine that's going to be on like a ton of people's radars. But if you're a guy who worships MP22, then it's right at the top of yours. Dukes?
I would say probably the Michael Jordan, the LeBron James of lacrosse heads, universally renowned, the clutch. I'm not talking the clutch 2.0. I'm talking about the Brian
the original clutch.
Everybody knows that if you play midfield, attack, shoot, pass, anybody that was anybody went with the clutch. And you got fancy with like the clutch 2.0s. You could change the colors and everything. The clutch was just this. It was like investing into, what is it? The SPF 500.
Dude, the clutch with 2 U's and 2 nylons.
I can't tell you how many of those I strung. But here's the thing. it had the defect in it where if you used it long enough, the bottom, like there's 4 holes in the bottom for the to tie off the mesh, they would break. And it had a defect, and it happened on every single clutch. If you used it long enough, it would happen. And that was, I think, the best part like of it. It was just such a gem. Like everyone was like, hey, let me see your clutch. Oh, yep, it's broken. Right. And it happened to everybody.
Yeah, but it's you know, you look at a great product like the iPhone. I think we can all agree the iPhone's pretty good. We know after
I love this take. I already love this take. Whatever.
What a spin.
yeah, after some time passes, Apple's phones deteriorate. Like only the best products really deteriorate. If I'm going off what you're saying, so
Well, because you want to hold on to them for as long as you can.
yeah, and you want to go back for more, and we all do. We get a clutch for the 4th time. It's not even like August. You go into like you have like 2 more summer tournaments. Like I'm going through my 5th clutch. So yeah.
Well, Drake, I believe that I saw you already using the brine money at the World Games. So I think that's gonna be.
I thought that head was like the swaggiest thing when I first started playing lacrosse. And then I like actually tried using it, and it like folded backwards. Like literally the ball would hit it and it would just like completely fall apart. I'm gonna go with one. I'm gonna go with a player head actually, but got an interesting story tied to it. I feel like this one is every single player in high school lacrosse was using it at one point. The Proton Power STX. But funny, so we played international rules in Canada, and with the head specs, they measured the heads from the bottom, or like from the bottom of the throat all the way to the top, and the Proton Power head, because of the way it was measured, was always illegal.
Because the throat
that
is
little,
always
like,
a
throat,
little raised.
So I guess in college they would just measure from the bottom; they wouldn't count that. But in international rules, they counted it. Our coach would literally stand at the sideline because we were like good, but we like weren't that good. He would stand at the sideline and write down the numbers of every kid on the other team during warm-up who he saw had a Proton Power. And then during the game, we get into our conference championship game. This was like actually legendary. We get in our conference championship, and this guy is literally stick check. Anytime a kid with a Proton Power scores, stick check, illegal, no goal. We get the ball free clear. And we finished the game. We won 3-2. The other coach looked like he was like actually going to kill us. All the kids are like ripping us. We're like, you guys should just use legal sticks. Like,
Yeah,
sorry.
stop
Like,
cheating, fucking
because
losers.
their whole team had Proton Power. It was absolutely electric. So yeah, because of that, always got a special place in my head. Proton Power.
Great head too. Unbelievable
Oh, yeah.
head. But that's greasy move, and I love it. Jake.
So mine's a weird one, but it's because I use, it's not weird, but I used it so many times, right? Like I just had so many of them that it was like my go-to. Like you found the head that like really worked for you and you rocked with it until, you know, I feel like there was like a very slow growth in the number of heads that were out there, and then all of a sudden it was exponential, right? You went from like there were like a bunch, like a core group of heads that you could get, and then it just like it got out of hand. So one of that original core group was, and there's always some like discussion on how to pronounce it, but like the Warrior Revo Pro or the Revo Pro, however you want to say it, like that was like one of my OGs that I like, the like old faithful.
Should we? I'm Revo, and then I'm a Revo Evo guy.
A Revo Evo guy, because Evo denote like Evo should match, right? But I understand you could say Revo or Revo.
I might actually just be a Revo Evo guy. Actually, no.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way to pronounce
Revo
it.
Evo. Yeah,
Revo Evo. But like I loved like that the head was so goddamn heavy and the sidewall was so wide.
Wait, real quick. Are you talking about the Revo? Because
yes, the Revo. Yes,
the Revo was
wide, and
was
my favorite
thick bitch.
Man, the best part was that when you laid a slap check on someone's fucking elbow, you got, or like the wrist, like you got like the full sidewall on it. They would just buckle. because it just felt like a nice little nasty slap on the wrist. So that one's mine. I rocked like
Dude, the original
a dozen of
Razor.
them.
Original Razor.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I feel like the Rebel was like the one.
That,
And then
that
the
whole,
Evo,
that
like
whole
later
line,
on.
that whole line of Warrior was great. I mean, like the Blade. Blade was a
Ooh,
sick
OG
head.
Blade.
The OG
OG
Blade. You remember
Blade
a
was
what about a real fucked up one? The Helix. You remember
Oh,
that?
yeah. Helix.
That one was ugly.
Should we talk about just some of like the most ridiculous heads? I feel like we can talk about heads for a while. So let's just start throwing out there just ridiculous heads like the
STX Deuce.
Oh, I
Yeah.
had
Oh,
an STX Deuce.
I was rocking that.
I had an STX Deuce. Like just because then because they started putting like a rubber like on top of it.
Yeah.
So like the Deuce had it. Also like the G-Force had like rubber dude, the G-Force was also fucked up. So the SCX G-Force, it had like the teeth on the top of the head and they had rubber coatings. But what was happening is fucking meathead defensemen would peel off the rubber coating and then like would like go outside and take the teeth that are on top of the head and just like rub it up against the curb to like sharpen it. And then they start throwing slap checks and you're basically getting hit by like razor blades.
Jake, what's your take on the Gate D head?
Yeah, that's what I was about to bring up.
So I've actually heard that it's kind of insane. There's been a couple kids who they've gotten their hands on it. It's super light. Honestly, it could never be me having to have one of those heads to throw a can opener, but like, to each his own, right? I think it looks dumb as hell. I guess I get the point, but like, I would never need that to throw a nasty can opener. But it's funny though, like I have to play since I'm like the youngest guy on my Placid team. They make me play midfield and attack because I like the only one who can run apparently. So like I had to get like a whole bunch of new gear and shit. So this is just like inspiring me to go fucking burn a bunch of money on new gear before I head up there. It's fucking my wallet's gonna hurt though.
Well, what about the SCX Arrow is basically the first.
I was about to say it's the same thing, right?
Iteration of that one. SCX. I don't even know like what the. Well, so but like the SCX Arrow, like it had like that little widened out spot on the, but like I feel like I forget like how they were marketing that, but I feel like they were saying like it's like easier for like ground balls or some shit like that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what the angle was there. I think that was what you were saying. They were just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping something would stick and calling it innovation.
Yeah.
What was the gate head that had like so many sidewall holes?
Oh, I know exactly. Yeah, the Torque. Oh,
Torque. Yes.
Fuck, that was a classic, dude. That was a classic. Everybody had that one. You like if you were a player that passed the eye test back then, you were rocking a Gate Torque.
Yeah, the Gate Torque. I mean, just so many. I feel like that was just like stringers, like would just nut over that one.
It's back too. A couple guys were using it this past week.
Yep.
The Brine Edge Ice. Little see-through head, little clear head.
Ooh, got one for you. The Stiffy.
I remember but I forget.
It's got a titanium rod in either side of the sidewall. And I played with a guy in college. He was going to go to Tufts, but he wanted to play club because that's sick, right? He was disgusting. He literally threw so many fucking hard slap checks that his head, the titanium rod in it, he bent it, right? So by the end of the year, just the head was like offset a little bit because he had been throwing so many. He bent the titanium rod, and he was such a meathead. But that was one of my favorites.
STX X2, just a classic. Can never go wrong with it. Dude, just so many good heads. So many good heads. All right, cool. So that all right, so we did what? We did helmet, we did shoulder pads, we did elbows, we did gloves, we did shaft, head. Does that bring us down to cleats?
Yeah.
All right. So Jake, Cleats and or footwear. Floor is yours. There's just any old footwear attire.
I will fight people. I will get into any argument on the internet over these cleats because these kids don't fucking understand nowadays with these ankle length New Balance ugly ass fucking cleats, the cleanness of the original Nike cleats. Like Nike has always been the premier supplier of cleat. I don't care that Nikki Polanco wore knee-length socks with like those gigantic Warrior burn whatevers, right? You look like a narp if you're wearing Warrior. I'm not a huge fan of the New Balance. In my cleat is the Nike Super Speed D 3/4 cleat. Cleanest cleat there ever was. And I will post a picture in chat, but like this cleanest cleat there ever was. Second to that, I will accept the Nike Vapor Carbon era.
Yes.
I absolutely
that's
will.
what I was
I will accept that. Right. That was a very clean era. And now I rock the Hirachis, but like Super Speed D 3/4, those who know.
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with the Nike OG, so the original Vapor Untouchables. Vapor Untouchable 1. It was like the sock cleat, super limited release, really hard to get, really hard to find. I was able, fun story about those, my freshman year, there was a pair that Hakeem Leckie had apparently worn, and they were shot and completely
Hakeem
worn
the Dream.
down, but they were white with like a kind of chrome orange Nike swoosh. And I thought they were sick. And Keem gave them to Nate Solomon. Nate Solomon charged me $115 for them. I had free cleats given to me by the university. And
you got hustled, son.
I literally said to him, I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I actually paid $115 for the cleats, wore them until they like basically were falling off my feet. I actually just found a pair, hustled the guy on sideline swap for like $40 to get a gray and red pair that I wore for Canada. Best cleat there is, in my opinion. OG Vapor Untouchable.
Jake, I'm seeing the cleats you sent. I'm still a carbon guy. Not gonna take it because that's the type of guy I am. I see it on the board. Feels a little cheap. What am I looking at right now? Do you guys remember the glorious age of Volt? And when Nike really tried to push Volt on everyone. And you guys are talking about how big of a douchebags the people that went to Jake Reed Blue Chip, like Maverick Showtime with their cleats. Nobody would stand out and look like a bigger fucking dick than people in 8th grade, 9th grade rocking the Volt Hirachis. The Volt Hirachis were crazy because you could get them in the Jake Reed colors. You could get them on sideline swap from someone who was selling them from Jake Reed. You could get the Syracuse orange and Volt shoes, which were the most disgusting things I've
I know
ever seen.
exactly what you're looking at.
Yeah, you can get the white in the Volt. I'm telling you, the 2011 period, you wore the Volt socks with the Volt shoes. You stood out like it was a weird time period, but nostalgic for sure. So yeah, the Volt Hirachis, literally any combination, like Jake Reed, Syracuse, it looked gross.
I mean, that was also like right around when like the Cam Newtons came out.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The Under Armours.
The Under Armours that would like come up like halfway up your
Yeah.
shin, and then you'd have like every kid like playing crabs who'd like have like a Maryland flag pair of of Cam Newtons. Yeah, I mean my pick here is going to be, and by the way, Jake, you're so the Nike Super Speed D like 3/4. I always thought played a little bit better as turf dogs, not necessarily in the cleat, but as the turf shoe. I think that was like the to go turf shoe. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm gonna go with the Nike Zoom Vapor Carbon, like just doesn't get any crispier than that. But I do want to throw out a special pick here, and maybe I'll even have this as my number one pick. Not necessarily a cleat, but again, this is just me stroking off Mikey Powell this entire segment. Does anyone out there, and I don't necessarily think that the three of you will remember this, but I'm asking the masses here, everyone who's listening right now, if you remember the Black Sheeps. So Brian put out a sneaker. It was a Mikey Powell sneaker. Now here's the thing. You guys are probably going to go to Google Image right now to try to think about, to see what I'm talking about. You can't find a picture of them anywhere. I've already tried to do this, like just to be able
How
to
bad
explain
were
it to
they?
you. Well, so here's the thing. So I mean, they were realistically like just like black sneakers. Like they kind of just like I don't know, like almost like like you could equate it to like a weird version of like a Vans, almost like a knockoff Vans type of thing. But in the tongue, they had like a little so like you would put like a guitar pick like in the tongue, like right over the logo. Because that was like right as Mikey Powell was
Dude,
like trying.
I found them.
Did
You
you?
can find them. Yes, you search up Mikey Powell sneaker, and it shows up signed Mikey Powell, Black Sheep, white 15 US. Let's go. They're kind of swaggy. And you got you're right. They got the pick.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
but I
Okay.
got
Yeah.
really-
So
I got
there,
really excited there.
yeah, there we go. All right. So there's a pair of the white and green on yeah. Okay. Right. Shout out to Poshmark. But yeah, I mean, it was just like a sneaker, but you had the Mikey Powell logo on them, and right on the tongue, someplace to put your guitar pick. So if you were just, strumming along, you'd have a little place to store that. So again, just a super, I don't just a wild time in lacrosse when Mikey Powell was just like trying so hard to tell everybody that he does not want to play lacrosse. Like he just wants to play. And lacrosse was just like, no, Mikey, like we need to like squeeze like a few more dollars out of you. Can we please get a few more, just a little bit more gear out of you? And he's like, all right, but like, this is basically my swan song. So the Mikey Powell Black Sheeps.
It's pretty epic that like some of the best players in our sport, like pretty openly didn't like our sport. Like Pat Spencer, Mikey Powell, like pretty like I've made it pretty clear to everyone that they didn't really like lacrosse that much.
Dude, they're just
and
like
we're like legends.
they're like, I hate this thing. I'm so sick at it.
Yeah, I gotta go win the Tewaaraton today. It's brutal.
Yeah, tough. I mean, Jared Bernhardt too. Just
Yeah.
Towards on winners who are just like, yeah, fuck this game.
Fuck this.
All right, so now we are going to make our way over to accessories. Dukes, just kind of explain what the thought process here is on accessory, because I'm still a little up in the air about where I want to go with this one.
So you want to add something. So you have your gear right now, right? You have your jersey on, school issue jersey, whatever. What we're looking for is one thing that you can add to your helmet, shaft, head, cleats, something that can make your outfit just a little bit more drippy. It could be like, a headband or something along the lines of that. Whatever you want to go. I'm not going to give anything away. No ideas, but that's basically the premise of it. I think this is our last one.
All right. Well, you know what, Drake? Let's just throw off the order here a little bit. Let's go. We'll go Drake. We'll go Dukes. We'll go myself, and then we'll end things off with Shitto here, so he can open it up and close it. So, Drake, your number one pick in the accessory draft.
You are gonna regret giving me this pick because I'm gonna go with Mikey Powell's headband he wore in Lake Placid
in the LXM
highlights.
Pro.
And in the LXM Pro, the one that went all the way down his back to his ass, literally A1, like greatest thing I've ever seen. I remember the first time I saw it, I thought he had a really long ponytail, and I had no idea like what it was, but I mean, just an epic look. So
well,
I'm gonna go Mike with that one.
The visor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he cooked people in that. He cooked in that too. That was the funny. Like if he wasn't Mikey Powell, you would have beat that guy up in the parking lot, right? Like you would have said like, hey, buddy, and hit him with your car or something. But like it was Mikey, so like it was way different.
I wore a long headband for one practice, and one of the seniors chirped me. Paulo Safari, who's now a coach at Cornell, he's like, dude, that looks so ugly. Why are you wearing that? I was like, oh, like Mikey Powell rocked it in Placid. He like literally, I guess because he's from upstate, I didn't realize like what I just said. And he turns around and like grabs me. He goes, "You are not Mikey Powell." And then turned around and went back to his locker. I never wore it again.
You learn.
I think mine, I have probably 2 honorable mentions just because drip is drip, but as a Long Island kid, I gotta go the Headstrong laces. The
Bastard.
the neon green Headstrong laces. Because if anybody that had any sort of steez knows, you could rip out the strings in your gloves and put together the Headstrong bracelets. You could put them in your on your cleats. You could wear it as like a wristband. So yeah, I mean that was another thing that just like went on in the lacrosse world for a little bit. You go to Lacrosse Unlimited and be like, could you melt me a bracelet? And then just burn 2 ends of a lacrosse string and you get a bracelet. And I'd be going down like my fucking whole entire arm. So yeah, the Headstrong laces were iconic.
Yeah. Shout out to the Kyle Laurie family. I know that they're big fans of the podcast. So yeah. So
We saw Pat at LaxCon.
yeah, we did see Pat at LaxCon. He's always buzzing around. But yeah, I mean, what Headstrong, I mean, listen, obviously what Headstrong has done for their cause has been phenomenal, but like what they've done to lacrosse culture also very phenomenal. So Headstrong, huge part of lacrosse. You said you had 2 honorable mentions, so your Headstrong laces.
I'll wrap it up at the end.
Okay. All right, so I'm a little torn here because like there's one that I always thought was a sick look, but I just never really did it. Like I didn't have the legs to pull it off when I was a young lad. I think I could probably do it today. I go for more runs today than I did as a young man. Always loved just like the thin sweatband. Like usually it was like Under Armour, just like that would go like on the like over the calf. So that sweatband was always like a pretty good look. Like I feel like you'd always go like two was like the max. One would look good, 2 would look great, 3 would look like this guy fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But again, like I just never really implemented that in my game. I feel like just a low key accessory, just a really strong tape job. I feel like if you candy caned your stick, or if you had like the crossing X's going all the way up, just a really crispy, clean tape job, always just really pulled together a look super nicely. So I'm going to go with tape job on that one.
I'd say that's fair.
Jake, I know you're a big tape guy as well, so I hate to do that to you right before your pick, but your go-to accessory to really cap off a look and set you over the edge.
Well, there's an obvious one, right? There's an obvious one, and it's mid-calf socks, right? Like that's the accessory that goes with everything. I never go anywhere without them. That's obviously going to be my big pick, right? I would like to fry the youth nowadays though, because I want to maybe go over some stuff, like some looks I've seen like this summer and like the last summer that have just been like, it's not it. Right. I think one, obviously off the top, like these are accessories that'll never make it into my game. I hope they'll hopefully never make it into this draft. So let's go off on a tangent here. Ankle socks, obviously, right? No shows. Like that's crazy to me. I know. Hold on. Rolling your shorts up. Now, this is a tough one for me, right? This is a tough one for me, especially growing up in the era where like, and it was so great because Powell Lacrosse posted like a Danowski throwback, and you saw like the boys rocking the biggest fucking shorts on the Duke. Like when they were rocking the triads, they had the biggest shorts in the entire world out there. But like those things, like the rolling up shorts, not having it. Something nowadays, every kid apparently has a chain. Like they've got a lot of jewelry going on. Like I'm not. It seems dangerous to me. Not about it. Right? Seems dangerous. Seems like a hazard. Right? I think I get if it's your thing, but it seems like a hazard to me. Like you put all those three things together, like the chain, the rolled up shorts, and the ankle socks. I'm dusting this kid on the field.
It is the TikTokification of lacrosse.
There we go. I'm glad we're having this gear talk, because this, none of this can be TikTokified. It is history.
Here's the thing. You give me any of those kids right now who are, and listen, I don't mind ankle socks. I don't mind high shorts. Like I don't hate it, but you show me, like you bring me any one of those twerps who are ankle socks, rolled up shorts, and their chain, and you put them up against Matt Danowski in 2009 with his shorts like halfway down his shins, Matt Danowski's going to fucking cook you, and he's going to cook you hard. So anyone who thinks that they look the part right now, roll back the tape, check out the history books, and you're going to get schooled by some of those greats who maybe right now are wearing parachute shorts. But Drake,
I'm gonna add to this rant a little bit. Yeah, because there's another thing I've noticed this summer, because I've been recruiting a little bit for Messiah College, where I'm a graduate assistant now, and I'm noticing a lot of eye black in summer lacrosse, and like not
Could
just
never
regular,
be me.
not just
Could
regular, like
never.
aggressive eye black in summer lacrosse, and
raccoon
kids are,
eyes.
oh my, like the Joker smiley face. I'm seeing kids not for like, I think the only time I got it was like big championship. You're a crab feast or like Philly showcase championship. The boys throwing eye black. I kind of get it.
Never in summer.
I'll give it a pass. These kids are in the Baltimore summer kickoff, second game of the day, pool play. And I'm watching kids literally before the game drawing on their thighs with eye black and then covering their faces. And I was literally sitting there. I was fuming. I was sitting there fuming in my chair, like actually crossing kids' names off, getting so mad about it, like so unnaturally angry that this is where we are now. So sorry, I had to add that piece in. If you're a kid and you're listening, stop wearing eye black for summer lacrosse, please.
I think like honorable mention, I think that going off the mid-calf look, the double Nike mid-calf look that went on for a little bit.
Absolutely.
I remember what I used to do. I used to put on a one sock normal, flip the inside one out, so it'd be an upside down Nike.
Upside down Nike.
Yeah, that was a real pro move.
I used to really like the black Nike underneath and then the white Nike over top. And then they even made like Nike made a sock that had like the just at the very top, just like a little sliver of black showing.
Hang on, I have a picture of me playing in college where I'm rocking a white. So I had black cleats because those like the ones I had black cleats with a black sock, and I have a white sock that's underneath it. So there's just like a tiny little bit. I'll send a picture to the group chat, but like the double sock shit was crazy.
What else? I mean, also just like the wax. I mean, the wax strap on the side of the helmet.
Yeah, obviously, Drake with the triple B. Little one here that isn't necessarily an accessory that like pulls off your look, but an accessory that you would have growing up, especially if you were growing up through this era. The Brian Guru. It was the trick stick that came out. So it wasn't necessarily a mini stick, but it was a stick specifically designed for stick tricks. So you would have, it was just designed for like sidewall stalls. It had like little like prongs on the back of on like underneath of the head, so you could like scoop it up through the back of the head. It had like a little spot on the throat where you could like throw it up and like catch it, almost like a ball in a cup type of situation. The shaft, it was like kind of like tapered down, so you could do the walk the dog, just ride that sidewall stall all the way down the shaft. Sick invention, helped out with your hands a lot. So anyone who was out there whipping around with a Brian Guru, chances are you probably sucked at your conditioning drills, but you always had the best hands on the team. Speaking from experience.
Facts. No rebuttal from me.
None here.
All right, but and anything else that is really just that we haven't gotten a chance to talk about, but you've been dying to get out there? Just remind people of some of just the greatest items in lacrosse history.
Can we talk the Syracuse Volt look?
Yes.
Like how hard they tried to push Volt. Like what was that about? They were the only school that ever did it.
You know what that was about?
Are we saying that wasn't a good look?
I think it was sick. I don't know where it came into like
it had nothing. I actually heard the story from the equipment manager who was talking about it. And they said it literally just like showed up. And Nike was like, yeah, like, what do you think? And they were like, I guess we'll do it. Like, sure. And like the equipment manager was asking, like, why are we doing this? And he was just like, yeah, like, no, we just think it'd be a cool thing. Like, there was no like rhyme or reason to it. It was for a quarterfinal game. And I think it was because they were trying to sell like the Volt like stuff too, like all the neon they were pushing. But yeah, they literally, and then so all the guys had to use it, and they got that gear like that week. So they were working in new cleats like that week. So could have factored into that overtime loss too.
They had the boys. So I'm looking at a few of the kits. So they had the all orange Pro 7, but like some of the pieces, so, oh my God, this is so ugly. They had, it was all orange Pro 7, orange chrome face mask with like Volt, like a hint of Volt all over the place, like on the vent and on the side and stuff like that. It just didn't fit. And then everybody had Volt socks. Everybody.
Because they were also trying to push. They're like, oh, let's get Syracuse across, one of the best teams in the nation, to push the Volt merch. Like, they're probably one of our biggest people. A bunch of white kids from like Long Island and Massachusetts are falling for this fucking shit that you look faster in the Volt. So like, they're just like, it's the perfect demographic just to attack. But yeah, the Volt days were insane. And like that spring into that fall is when Cam Newton came out with his highlight cleats.
I love the Volt game. I thought it was the sickest thing ever. And like, I guess now that I when I was younger, I just thought it was cool. Now that I'm older, like, it is insane that they did that in a quarterfinal game. They literally convinced the team to wear a color in a quarterfinal game that wasn't their team's color. Like, there's never been any neon ever. Like, imagine Duke like walking out in like a full neon and like volted out kit, like ever. Like, it would be so weird. But for some reason, it just like happened.
Did anybody else in history do like a super out of pocket like color scheme day? I know Duke did like, well, like black is like their alternate, but like I like, who did like,
teams will do it for like, I know Hofstra does it for like they'll do like a St. Patty's Day uniform or like a military uniform or stuff like that.
Yeah.
the Notre Dame green chrome. Like when they did the Irish, like the St. Patty's Day stuff for them was they had a few pieces of gear that were sick.
Oh, this has nothing to do with this. We could segue this into just closing it out. I have potentially drama in the Notre Dame locker room next year.
Oh no! If this has to do with goalie shit, I'm going to
swear to God, no. I swear to God,
sign off right now.
This is good. So the word on the street is Brian Tevlin, the Yale guy, is possibly one of the best. What's the instrument called?
Bagpiper.
He's one of the best bagpipers that the United States got. And he's coming in and like, he's not asking for the job, but he's so good, he might just take it for it. So like, that's something to look out for. Like, I can't account that for the national championship odds. Like, I don't know if the locker room's broken going into the season, but all I know is Brian Tevlin is a mastermind with the bagpipes in his hand.
I played the bagpipes in high school.
We got to hear this. Maybe, does he have a SoundCloud?
We should try to get tryouts between the two of them on here and like let people decide. That would be the dream.
It's a good way to do it. I really need to hear him because that's, I mean, if that's word on the street, if it's getting out there that you're so good, that you're so sick of the bagpipes, that you should be the bagpipe guy at Notre Dame, like you better be fucking nasty at the bagpipes.
Yeah, the Notre Dame talk. Someone told me that like randomly in passing. Other thing that I just want to get out is, so Barstool's doing Shoot Up for Soldiers next Thursday in Massapequa, getting together a team. I know Jordy's got some obligations with Spit and Chicklets and all that, but we'll be there. Please check out my link in bio or on the Crease Dives link in bio to donate. They do a great cause. We're going to be playing with FDNY, NYPD. People, it should be a great day. If you're on Long Island, come out, playing at like 5 or 7 o'clock.
You're hopping in cage?
Fuck no. I got to find my pole. If not, I'm just gonna play midi. I was looking around the office and I was like, did you guys play lacrosse? Like, I got one of Matt St. Laurent's guys as an intern. He's like, oh yeah, I play. We have about 7 goalies in the office. 7 goalies. We got Steve
I
Romano.
should
who
tell you
played in-
something.
Yeah. It's fucking a shit show. And then we got like Steve Romano who played for the MLL. So that would should be fun. Should be a good day.
Yeah, but what
7
team in the
goals.
MLL? What team in the MLL was like
Lizards,
a
Lizards.
Ohio
Yeah.
machine? Okay.
Lizards, yeah.
He
Oh
actually,
yeah, Steve Romano. That's right.
he came with me to my Ohio Machine tryout. Still haven't gotten a call back from that one. All right, yeah, that's putting together a pretty good squad. It does worry me a bit that we have 7 goalies working in the office. I feel like that's not conducive to a functional working environment, but what do I know? Goalies, you fucking 6 sons of bitches. But yeah, so make sure that you guys are checking that out. Great event for a great cause. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel. We're the Crease Dive there. Listen, if you got through this entire episode and you were listening on Spotify and Apple, thank you, but you really should have been watching this one on YouTube. Think it was great for that. But again, make sure that you're subscribed on Apple and Spotify if you aren't already. Make sure that you're following us on Twitter and Instagram. We are at the Crease Dive on both. Drake and Jake, can't thank you guys enough for coming on here. I mean, that was a great time. I could talk gear. I could talk gear for hours upon hours. I know you guys have stuff to do though. So anything else you guys got to say, or just
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, it's great to do it.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man. As always.
Stash is looking great. Again, congrats on the gold medal to Drake and the rest of Team Canada. And in the meantime, we'll be keeping it low to high until the day we die. We out.